Okay, so we're going to look at how we can use elements or images and bits and pieces that we bring into Hype within our project and add some movement, so some basic animation. Okay, so we looked at exporting SVGs from Illustrator and then importing files via this resource library. We also looked at dragging and dropping, so we can drag and drop onto the stage and that'll update in the resource library for us. The third way of importing things is through this elements drop down. You'll see we've got some options to bring other things in via this menu here. So another way of importing images is to just go to Elements, Image, Import, choose an image or a selection of images, click OK. And that will come onto the stage and also be put into your resource library. Once in the resource library, we can use them as copies and they become individual layers that we can duplicate. So that's the third way of bringing stuff into Hype. Now once we've got stuff in, we can then start to kind of decide how that appears to us over time within our application, which is great. So we can add movement to things and really enhance how much people are immersed in the experience and almost how they're engaged in what's happening on the screen. And just to give you a kind of run through in a basic way of how to do it, it's very straightforward. You can just use this ellipse as an example. Okay, so we have an ellipse on the stage here, and we can change certain properties of that ellipse through the element menu. So here you saw before we were just choosing a different colour. We can perhaps make it a bit blurry and change the scale using various presets in the element and metrics menus. So that's quite straightforward. And the great thing is we can then animate how these go over time using the timeline and the record function. So for instance, over time I can have this this ellipse fade up, sharpen, and so every time the application launches that will happen. So a quick way of doing that, just roll this playhead down to 0. Start with our base state, so I'm going to go from blurry 0 opacity. So here I've got a transparent object that's blurry, ready to animate. And I'm going to decide that the change in state is going to happen over 2 seconds. So I can just click record, roll the playhead down here to 2 seconds. And then with that object selected, so the layer is selected, I can then change the properties in the element inspector. And then you'll see just underneath the layer there, you'll see properties. It's recording those state changes over time in the timeline. So I stop recording and then just preview, hitting play. You can see this is how it looks. And so if I preview that in my browser, that's how my application will actually work at the time when it's launched. And so we'll remember that and play it each time. So it's in the background, Hype's doing all the coding and stuff for you. And I can do the same with a lot of things. I can do it with movement. So here, if I use a rectangle here, same principle, bring that into my application, you'll see rectangle layer, ready to go. At the moment that's grey. You'll notice the ellipse is blue. That's because it's recorded some activity between the keyframes, so that's saying something's happening in here. I can do the same for this rectangle, so let's just decide on a different colour for this one. And what I want that to do is, over time, maybe slightly longer, 3 seconds, I want it to go across the screen. Get to this point, get to my beginning, hit record, roll that to 3 seconds, it's recording, and then just record the movement. You'll see that little blue bar comes in, so that's saying it's recorded stuff. If I review that, you can see that's how it is. I'll just stop recording and press play. That's how it goes. Now at some point you'll want to kind of tweak speeds and how things work. And for instance, let's just say with this rectangle it's taking I'm not happy with how it's going because it's too slow to the end there. And then just take this, the end of that blue content area, pull it in, press play, and you'll see it will happen slightly quicker.